Good evening, our beautiful viewers, and welcome to yet another exciting episode of The Deep. I'm your host, Tuso, and joining me tonight in studio, we are joined by Sarah Rachel Smit. Welcome to The Deep.
Thank you.
We understand that you've been a Kwekwe citizen for a very long time, Sarah. Is that true?
Yes. I was born in Mutari because that's where my father's family were farming in Penalonga. But following my mother's marriage breaking down, she brought me to Kwekwe with my brother. It's where she had grown up for most of her life. Our family came to Kwekwe in about 1953.
Wow.
My grandfather was the postmaster at the old post office, and my grandmother was a teacher at Kwekwe Primary. I was actually talking to my mom about it today when she first came to Kwekwe, and I said, how did you get to Kwekwe? And apparently they came on the train. And I thought, they must have been crazy. My grandmother had 5 children.
Yes.
And for their first 3 weeks, they stayed in the Kwekwe Hotel, which is now the Shamwari Hotel. And I thought, wow, my grandmother was in a hotel with 5 children, trying not to let them break the whole place apart. But Kwekwe was home for my mum. And so she brought us, and we were raised in Kwekwe, me and my brother. After a couple of years, she met and married my stepfather, who was more than a father to me. He was absolutely amazing. And so I had a very, very good childhood. Attended Kwekwe Nursery School, and then went to Kwekwe Junior.
Which is known as Kwekwe Primary.
Kwekwe Primary now, yes. And was taught from Mr. McGrady was the headmaster at the time, and my grade 1 teacher was a teacher by the name of Mrs. Woods, and my grandmother was actually teaching at Kwekwe Primary from that first year. I think she just delayed her retirement to see that I got through grade 1 okay. And then following Kwekwe Primary, I went on to Kwekwe High School, and that I did a 5-year O-level. And I was never actually a startling student. And they all thought I was going to fail my O-levels. And so in those days, if a girl wasn't going to get an O-level, she was sent off to secretarial college. So I was booked into the Harare Polytechnic because nobody, including my teachers, thought I was going to actually pass these O-levels.
And this is you now leaving Kwekwe for Harare now?
Yeah, that's when I left Kwekwe. And I actually passed all my O-levels. And caused a great confusion because now they were like, don't you now want to go to teaching college? And I said, no, let me go, and we've got this all organized, let me go and do the secretarial college. It's only for a year. Then at college, I met this very cute guy, very, very cute guy. And I was very young, I was 18. And I thought to myself, darn, I've met my husband, and I'm so young still.
At 18?
At 18, and we got married when the year I turned 20. We got married, and we went, and mostly we lived on his family farm, and had 4 children, 2 girls.
Was this in Harare or?
It was in Darwindale.
Oh, okay.
2 girls and 2 boys, and then when my youngest son was about 8. We decided I should come and live in Kwekwe, and my husband was going to stay on the farm and put the children in formal schooling. Because we had been doing homeschooling, the government correspondence schooling, and I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I really knew that was what I wanted to do. And we came back to Kwekwe, and I worked at Camelot and got my proper qualifications, and then left after a couple of years. I was there for about 6 years, and then had a couple of other, worked here and there, and did some, taught kids, made some big mistakes, made some great successes, and then I thought, right, well, now's the time to sort of retire, you know?
Yes.
And my daughter phoned me and she said to me, Mum, and in fact it was the day I'd resigned from my teaching position, and I was driving home, my daughter phoned me and said, Mum, what are you doing? I said, well, I've just resigned. So she said, no. She said, I need you to teach I'm Victoria and Christopher, our two eldest grandchildren. And I said, oh, okay, that'll be quite nice. Well, 2 turned into Smit Academy, which is 156 kids.
Wow.
And I run it with 2 very dear friends, and we're 3 directors. But it's just been the most amazing journey. And I give a lot of credit to my mother and my grandmother, who were strong women, and then my daughters who've become strong women, and also to my husband, who has always supported me.
Yes.
He is a very well-known knife maker, very well-known, quite famous in the world, in fact. And I've always helped him run his business, and he's always helped me with the school. Yeah,
he's also returned
partnership.
The energy. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting about having people that have been in Kwekwe for the longest time? You get to tell us about a lot of changes that have taken place in Kwekwe. For example, you mentioned Kwekwe Hotel, which is now known to be Shamwari Hotel.
Yeah,
You've also talked of Kwekwe Junior. Yes, we still call it Kwekwe Junior, but a lot of people now know it as Kwekwe Primary School. Enlighten us about these changes.
I was talking to my mum this afternoon when I knew I was going to come and do this interview, and I was asking her about the churches in Kwekwe. We're very committed Christians in our family, and I actually go to St. Stephen's, which must be 120 years old now, the church I go to. But I said to her, tell me about the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church used to be where, where the cabs building is, across the road from the cabs building, there's a big building now. I just can't remember what's in it anymore. Anyway, that used to be where the Catholic Church was. Okay. And the Anglican Church is where it has always been, where it is now. And my mum actually, where they lived, where their first house was where the Zesa building is now. So that was all new. But I can remember so many buildings being built. The main center of town when I was growing up was the Rubens complex. Oh, where Rubens is now?
Yes,
and opposite
Globe.
Yeah, yes. Opposite, yes. Well, that was called the Phoenix Hotel in those days.
Oh, okay. And that's another change.
Kwekwe's always been a mining town.
Yes.
So you're not going to get stalwart. You're going to get a huge variety of people living here, and some very, very colourful characters.
Right.
But Rubens is where we did our shopping, and it was always done on a Saturday morning, and you always dressed up to go shopping. There was none of this going in trousers and a t-shirt, and you had to go early to get parking. So this parking problem in Kwekwe is not a new thing.
It's not a new thing.
Yes.
You talked about Sarah being a mother.
Yes.
How many kids in particular do you have?
4 children, starting at 35 years old now, and ending, the youngest one is 27. And yes, 2 girls, 2 boys, and 3 of the 4 children still live in Zimbabwe, which I consider to be a major achievement. That they're the next generation, and their children are in Zimbabwe. Okay. And then my one son lives in Kenya.
So that makes you a Glammy of how many?
Oma.
Of how many?
I'm an Oma of 5.
Okay.
Yes, and please don't ask me when they were born because
because age is catching up with you.
My eldest granddaughter's 18 today, actually.
Wow! Yeah. Oh, happy birthday to her!
That's so sweet.
Interesting. Yes. We're going to go for a short commercial break. Do join us as we are with Sarah Smit in the studio. We are back from our break, and for those that have just tuned in, we are joined by Miss Sarah Smit, and as some of you may know her, she's Oma Sarah from Smit Academy. Before the break, you were telling us of the changes, of a lot of developments in Kwekwe and how it has been like growing up your time in Kwekwe. So tell us, has it always been a class system in Kwekwe?
There's always been, let me put it this way, in any society, any town, you'll have different types of ladies, and the story that springs to mind is you get the women's associations like the WI or the Garden Club or whatever, and then as I said, it was a mining town, you know, so you get people who've come and they've got a dozen kids, and so there was this one family, and this woman had 5 children. And then she had number 6. So one of the ladies who thought of herself as like the bastion of society, you know, she went to say to this lady, and she said to her, "Do you know how to prevent having babies?" She was thrown down this woman's stairs. But that is Kwekwe. You know, Kwekwe it's a lovely, lovely city. It's a lovely city to bring up your kids. But it's a no-builder city, you know, it's fun, and we look after, the community looks after itself, and, you know, it's a really good place to bring up children.
So we want to jump into Smit Academy.
Okay,
We've seen you working with a lot of organizations. We've seen you working with the City Council. We've seen you working with the Lions Club. We've also read about the time when we had that cyclone. You had a hand in that. Tell us about Smit Academy.
Okay. Smit Academy is very, very dear to my heart. Very dear to my heart. And the motto, the theme for Smit Academy is "For I am your God." So it's very much, we try and run on Christian principles, and you know, our kids, a lot of them, you know, they have so much more than other children, and we've always tried and teach them to give and to share and to make them aware of this wider community. You know, that they need to be looking after the people around them, and they need to look after their community when they grow up, that they have a duty to Kwekwe. You know, that Kwekwe has provided them with this amazing education, this amazing lifestyle, and they have a duty. They should be giving something back. And the way to do that is when they're really young. You say to them, "Bring in something and we'll take it to the old age home." So Cyclone, it was Cyclone Idai. Cyclone Idai, we decided as a school, because we heard about all of these people and these horrific stories, and we decided as a school that we would collect a couple of things, you know, and we sort of put the message out, right, anybody in Kwekwe, do you want to donate? And we ended up, it must have been 6 tons of stuff went to Harare, all through, and we involved the other small private schools at the time, like yourselves, and at the time, because it's such a valuable lesson. We had to call in SPA. They had to send a lorry to come and collect all our stuff, and we thought it would all fit in the back of a bakkie. And so that was a big thing for us, and it was a great blessing. We've also been involved as a family with the Lions Club of Redcliffe for many years, and that was so rewarding. So rewarding. You know, you don't realize how lucky you have and how much you have until you see somebody who really has nothing. You know, and that was a tremendous part of our lives. And then through the church, our church has been, there's donors from England who's sending out money for food packages for the destitute, and we managed to do 57 parcels of food. And you know, you're hearing about families living on the streets, you know, and to be able to help in a very small way some of those people, it's been a tremendous thing. But if we as a community do not look after each other, we finished.
Exactly.
You know, we have to look after each other.
Okay, this is for the people that maybe look up to you, or that actually have a dream of maybe someday opening a school?
Okay.
You've mentioned that you've worked with certain schools. You started from Camelot.
Yeah.
You've also worked with us at Classbell.
Yeah,
You've worked
that's
at
right.
Melanie, as far as I can recall, and so
Yeah.
many other schools.
Yes.
How do you want to address the viewers
Okay.
about how to make it?
Okay, firstly, don't get in over your head. You know, be realistic about what you can achieve, what you can do. And if your skill is education and not finance, get somebody whose skill is finance, or whose skill is public relations, or whatever. But definitely don't get in over your head. Go slowly, and believe it. Believe it. Don't teach a child what you wouldn't want your child to learn. You know, and make sure that you have time for each and every child every day. Those are your children. Those parents are trusting you to raise their children. You with me?
Yes.
So, you know, you've got to look after those kids. You've got to make sure you're the first one at school in the morning, that those kids are safe, that safety factor. I mean, and that you've got properly qualified people teaching them, and that you're looking after their emotional needs. You know, at school they call me Omar, and I always say to the parents, I say, I'm your child's Omar, I'm your child's grandmother. So I'm not going to shout at your child, I'm going to shout at you.
Exactly.
You know, but just care for those kids, and they are so open to learning and so open to giving their best. You know, you don't get naughty children. You get children who are bored, who are tired, who are not motivated. You don't get naughty children.
Exactly.
And if you start there, and if a child isn't learning, it's not the child that's failing, it's you that's failing to find a way to teach that child, because there is a way.
Yes.
You know, there is a way to teach every child.
Another interesting thing that we see going on at Smit Academy is more of character development in a child.
Yes.
For example, we see you holding fashion shows.
Oh yes, yeah. Confidence building.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Tell us, what is the strategy behind that? Because we understand that some people feel it is not necessary to have such activities in school, to have those kind of activities in school. So tell us, what is behind character building?
It's all to build up confidence that child knows, especially in the girl children, that they know they're beautiful. They know they can do it. You know, and you're teaching them from a really young age that they are beautiful, and that they have something to say, and that they've got something to give the world, you know. And so it's confidence. It builds up their confidence, those sort of things. We also, at Smit Academy, we very much appreciate the role that grandparents play in the children's lives. So we have a grandparents' day once a year, and we get the grannies and the grandpas in, and the kids sit with them, and they show them their work, and they sing, and then the grandparents sing, and it's all sort of teaching the children to show respect. And I also truly believe that a child should be able to speak to their grandparent in their own language. So this was taught to me by my mother-in-law, who's Afrikaans, and my husband never ever spoke English to his mother, because it was a sign of respect. So I try and like build up the grandparent in these children's eyes, you know, and they go, you know, and that they can speak Shona, because we're an English medium school. So, you know, we make sure that the children can speak Shona to their grandparents and can show them the respect, you know,
they deserve.
Yeah.
So after the break, Sarah shares on how she managed to survive during this pandemic, what she has been up to during the COVID-19 lockdown.
Wow, yeah.
Before the break, we asked Sarah to share with us how she has spent her COVID-19 lockdown period and how she's going on from this day up until we say lockdown is now over. So do share with our viewers at home how you've been holding up in terms of communicating with your family, your work, relations. How has that been put in place?
Okay. Well, the first thing I did when we had the COVID lockdown was I slept. The other thing, I put my makeup away. I got all my old clothes because we did not have to get up and get dressed properly for work every day. But we've been communicating with our parents through WhatsApp.
Yes.
And I've actually been teaching my own grandchildren through the Google Classroom. They go to another school in Zimbabwe. I've been teaching them through Google Classroom.
Yes.
But it's through WhatsApp. But you know, we're we're people who like to entertain a lot. We're people who love. Our favorite thing is to have a table and have friends and family sitting around it, and we're all eating a lovely meal. And that has been very hard, very, very hard. But social media, Facebook, WhatsApp has been a great thing. And parents have been very good. If it's been a child's birthday, they've sent a photograph, and then Omar can say happy birthday. And yeah, but it has been hard. I'm really, really now missing our social life.
Yes.
And going to church on a Sunday. You know, I think we all quite enjoyed the first 2 weeks, you know, where we could sleep all morning. But I'm really missing my life not being normal now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Given that Sarah lost her sight today, how would you identify or reckon that this is a Smit Academy student?
By their joy. Can I say that? By their confidence, by the fact that they can talk to people in the community and that they can have an opinion and they can, you know, share and they're good English. Okay. But definitely it's by their whole persona. They shine out.
Yes.
You know, they do. They shine in the community. I've had children, parents coming to me and saying to me, my child was in church yesterday singing at the front, and everybody was saying, wow, where did your child
Where does your child learn something?
Yeah. They do, they shine. Because it's a happy, happy environment.
Yes.
You know, and I hope it always stays a happy environment. One of our things you asked me about, if somebody opens a school, what they must do, is never be too great for your students.
Yes.
Because they are actually your customers. If they're not there, you're not going to get paid. And so our policy at Smit Academy is to have the door open. My office door is always open. And if a child gets in trouble with a teacher, they've been known to escape the classroom and come running down to Omar. I also listen to the reading at least once a week. Every child comes and reads to me, you know, and that's a way of me communicating with the child. So if somebody is wanting to open a school, do it. Don't think you'll get rich. You will not get rich from education. But just be aware that you're making a commitment to that child.
Yes.
You know, and you can't let that child down in the end. You've got to be there for that child in every way.
Interesting. So where do you see Smit Academy in the next 5 years?
I see Smit Academy as being on a par with the best schools in this country. I think we've got the right teachers. I think we've got the right attitude. We've got the right curriculum. And we've got the right parents, you know, and I think we're going to achieve great things. I think, and in 10 or 15 years' time, I see our children being doctors, lawyers, pastors, you know, community leaders, because they would have been taught to do that at school, and that will be their normal, you know, is to be a leader, not to be shy, not to be scared to hold back.
Personally, I admire your relationship with your clients as well as the people around you. This takes us back to the time when you were not feeling well. We could,
with my neck,
yes, we could see statuses of people wishing you well. We could see so many thousands of messages. Amazing. How did that help you fight?
That was a terrible thing, because I went to the doctor. I thought she was going to tell me how to cope I thought it was hypochondria. I thought she was going to teach me how to cope. I'd had this series of very minor strokes, which was caused by the problem, and I wasn't allowed to come home, and it was a nightmare. And you know, when you are low like that, you can't pray for yourself. You don't pray for yourself. You just can't.
Yes.
And to know all those people were praying for me was just amazing, because I couldn't pray for myself. You know, and it was incredible. There was a fundraiser that went on that raised money. It was the most humbling time. Humbling time. And also what I realized was that I had people around me who could do it.
Yes.
You know, I didn't have to be managing every single aspect of the school.
Yes.
You know, because I was forced to, I could let go, and these very capable women and man could take over and keep the ship running. And I was very humbled by the whole thing. You know, one of my partners, Faith, she started the job about 2 weeks earlier, and next thing she is the director running the whole ship, and she did it marvelously.
Yes.
You know, and my secretary did it marvelously, and I saw all these. I was very humbled by it.
So we should just say the same energy that you give out is the same energy that you got during this time.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yes.
Very good way of putting it, yeah. But it is very humbling, you know, and I don't think I can ever thank them enough, because it could have been a complete and utter disaster, and it wasn't. Our ship stayed sailing. Yeah.
All right,
and
Sarah,
the love, wow.
It has really been a pleasure having you on our show,
It's been a
and
pleasure.
would like to have a short message, a farewell message that you want to give our viewers before we come to the end of the show.
Okay. Come and visit Kwekwe. You will not believe the dynamics of our community. It is a really tremendous place to be. There's huge growth potential here, but the people make Kwekwe wonderful. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sarah. It has been a pleasure being on your screens tonight. Do join me for another episode next week on The Deep, as we were going to be having one of the most interesting guests on the show. Remember to stay safe. Remember to like our Facebook page, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel. Till next time, good night.